Mason,
Go on.
this is my THR.
We're keeping it positive.
We
Chuckers.
are.
We're saying if it ever happens.
If it ever happens.
It's probably going to happen.
This is Deadpool 3 news. Skip ahead if you don't want any spoilers. But apparently, we'll say them at the same time. Who was the person you heard is in this week?
Okay, 3, 2, 1.
Elektra. What were you going to say?
Jennifer Garner.
Oh,
That's
different.
Right. Yep, different.
We had different things to say.
That's true, yeah.
I saw some other ones, but I don't want to every week be like, now this person is in it, now this person is in it now. So we'll talk about this one.
Okay. But bearing in mind that's content.
That is content, but maybe a little.
But you'd be content not to use that content.
That's true. Thank you for saying that. So for those people who don't know, I mean, if you listen to this, you probably know. There was a Daredevil movie in 2003 starring Ben Affleck.
Yes.
And Jennifer Garner was in it. It's where they met and fell in love for a time.
That's right.
And she played Elektra. And then at the end of that movie, she was stabbed by Colin Farrell.
That's right.
Not in real life.
That's right. In an acting capacity.
It was in an acting capacity.
The character of Bullseye.
In an act capacity. And then she got a spin-off movie.
Yeah, Dead Elektra. Stabbed Elektra. They pushed her around on a gurney to various exotic locales. I'm like, can you assassinate this Yakuza boss?
That's
and
right.
then there's nothing. And another guy was like, dude, I think she's dead.
But anyway, she came back. She came alive.
That's true. And she fought
a guy who had tattoos that came to life.
Yeah.
In a movie called Elektra from 2005. And if you've ever seen this movie,
I have.
It's dreadful.
It is dreadful.
It's a dreadful movie. But I like a lot.
Yep.
So, why not bring every person who's ever been in a good or bad movie?
Do you think this will be an extended role, or do you think it'll be in the style of Deadpool 2 where the Weapon X guys show up or the X-Force guys show up and they're all immediately killed?
I have no idea. I don't know what this movie is doing.
That's right.
Is it going to be an endgame scenario where all the portals open and every person who's been in a Fox movie
It might be a portal parody. Is it... If they'd done that the next year, a portal parody scene, I'd be like, all right, very current. But now I'm just like... all right, that seems a little dated, honestly.
Well,
maybe
speaking of dated, this is a multiverse scenario from all the people we've heard who potentially are or could be in this movie.
Yeah, right.
How are you feeling about multiverses at the moment?
I'm sick of them.
I mean, because there was a good one.
There was a good one.
There was a really good one.
Yeah.
And then there was a dreadful one.
I mean, I would say generally I like multiverse stuff. Like in the comics, I definitely do.
Yeah. You like when Reed Richards has got a really long head and he's evil and he's from the Ultimate Universe?
Yes, I do like that.
Cool, I like that too. We like the same things.
That's very true.
We have similar tastes, basically.
That's right. Why don't we get along then?
I don't know. It's infuriating. Yeah. I think it's you, though. It's your personality.
It is my personality. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I think it's easier to work in. I think it's easier to work in the comics because they come out every month, and you can wipe the slate clean every once in a while. But I don't know. Look, I'm maybe it'll be great. But again, I think as I've said, maybe even when we talked about Multiverse of Madness or Quantum Mania or something like that, that if you're in a multiverse, you have to. I think they need to establish some firm rules for the multiverse.
Yeah.
In terms of how many universes there are and crossing over multiverses and people exchanging places.
But in Deadpool, does it mean anything?
Doesn't mean anything.
Because remember in one of the Deadpools, he opens the door and it's the X-Men from the 80s or whatever, and he's in the modern day.
Yeah.
So will it matter?
Well, it doesn't matter, but I think I'm talking more in the MCU.
Yeah, sure.
In the sense of like...
Which this is, I guess, technically.
I mean, and as a big fan of DC's Crisis on Infinite Earths, James, you would know the reason they did...
This is why we don't get along.
That's exactly right. The reason they did Crisis on Infinite Earths is because the number of alternate universes was getting so...
It was causing a crisis within the offices of DC.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, okay.
There were too many universes to keep track of, and look, I even hate to bring this up, James, but you remember that episode of Rick and Morty where Rick and Morty's...
He turned into a pickle, yeah. That's probably one of the most famous episodes.
That is a good episode.
Yeah.
He's a bigger Rick.
Remember?
Yeah. Bigger Rick, bitch.
You've got that T-shirt that you got in a Loot Crate.
That's right.
Go on.
I did get a Rick and Morty T-shirt at Loot Crate once. Do you remember the episode where Morty tries to make a love potion and he mutates everybody on the planet into these horrible...
One of the early ones,
yeah, and these horrible monsters. And rather than fix the situation, Rick and Morty simply go to a parallel universe where only they have died.
Yes.
And they just replace the and then the life has just moved on.
Yeah.
That's kind of the dilemma we're in, where it's like...
Absolutely.
Oh, with this character, their whole family died. Well, let's just move them to another parallel universe where only they died, and that'll be fun.
Well, that was the Kingpin's goal in the first Spider-Verse movie
It was, yeah.
There's also been a theory that every movie and show in Phase 4 is in a different dimension.
I have not heard that.
But my question is, Why?
And does it matter?
Like, what would that mean?
What would that prove?
Like,
what is the evidence
this was
for
a
that?
different dimension. How
Is it just-
different? Very similar, actually.
Very simple. Is it just continuity errors that people have picked up on?
That bad green screen. You know how we rushed out this episode? That's
Yeah.
because it was in a different universe.
Yeah. Oh my God, on that street scene, petrol's $4 a gallon, and this one it's $3.80.
Whoa.
That must be in separate universes.
But petrol tanks are smaller? What does that mean?
I don't know, about the same.
Okay.
People don't notice. But here's what I'm saying is that ultimately is, you need to establish the rules. Otherwise, it's sort of pointless because if someone dies, you can just go to another universe and get another version of them.
And then you close it off.
Yeah.
You shut it down.
If there's infinite number of universes, you have the problem of, well, there's, on the one hand, there's infinite number of worlds to save, and that is too much. And at a certain point, you go, well, if a billion universes dies, it doesn't matter because there's still infinite numbers left. And it also has the problem of, and again, the DC universe had this, if there's a problem Superman can't handle, he can just go into a bunch of parallel universes, get another 100 Supermen, and they can help him. Yeah. But there's also 100 other Lex Luthors, etc.
We'll help him too.
We'll help him too.
Yeah.
Well, the friendly ones.
The friendly universe.
So it just becomes unwieldy, and which is why DC ultimately went to 52 alternate universes, which I think is where it currently stands, but I don't know. But I think they got to do that.
You know what I was doing the other day?
What's that?
Speaking of multiverses.
Okay.
I was at the pub. I was at a local publican. Is that what they're called? Yeah.
Yes.
Is that how you drink with a few of my mates?
The fellas.
The fellas, the boys, my boys.
Yeah, your boys, yeah.
And such. Anyway, now
why do you get along with them and not with me?
I don't get along with them.
Oh my God, you're right. Starting to think it's a you problem.
No, it's everybody else.
Oh, wow.
Anyway,
if you meet it, well, you know what they say, if you meet an arsehole, well, you met an arsehole. But if you meet arseholes all day, it's their problem. It's not your problem, it's their problem.
I'm going to make it their problem.
Yeah, that's right.
So they were asking about Indiana Jones and what's it like. And I'm like, it's fine. Like,
they said, we're normies.
Yeah.
Please let us know about Indiana
And they didn't know it was out or whatever.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And like, how was it like? And I'm like, I liked elements of it. I didn't love it. They're like, what was that bit? Like, is he young in it? I'm like, he's at the start, but, and they're like, what? And I'm explaining, I'm not going to spoil it here. I'm explaining the third act and they're just like, what do you mean? What? and then I'm like, I don't know. It's like a thing that's happening. There's like weird stuff in movies like that Flash movie that came out. And they're like, when? When was there a Flash movie?
Yeah.
I'm like 3 weeks ago.
And they're like, did they say, you mean that guy that says Shazam?
No, they don't. That's another thing they don't know. And I said, yeah, because Michael Keaton. No, because I said, I basically said that it failed. I think one of the reasons, there's a lot of reasons, was because Harrison Ford is 80 years old and he was Indiana Jones a million years ago. And so nobody knows or cares. Yeah. And like, it's like how Michael Keaton's Batman again. And they were like, Michael Keaton's Batman again. And I'm like, yeah. And they go, when? And I go, 3 weeks ago. And they go, in a Batman movie. And I said, no. And then I basically, beat by beat, not because I wanted to, I explained.
You had to expel it out. You had to share the curse like you're showing somebody the video from The Ring.
And they were asking, so I wasn't just doing it, because I don't talk about movies that much. And
it's like they're watching the video for The Ring and they're like, well, play a bit more. Play a bit more of this.
What's after this?
Oh my God.
Okay. And I basically took them through the plot beat by beat.
Yeah.
And they were like, what are you talking about? Like, is this real? And I'm like, no, it's real. And they're like, I don't get it.
Is this one of those algorithmically generated YouTube videos for kids?
And I'm going to spoil the ending of The Flash, okay, if you haven't seen it. And you probably haven't. No, if you listen to this, you've probably seen it. You've been spoiled. And then they're like, so who's Batman? And I'm like, because Robert Pattinson's Batman. I'm like, no, he's Batman in a different dimension. You know, the Christian Bale, it's like that. And they're like, oh, I like that one. I'm like, yeah, I know. It's because it's good. And they said, so who's Batman? And I'm like, okay, so it's George Clooney. And they're like, what are you talking? And I'm like, okay. So
initially it's Ben Affleck, and then
I
it's Michael Keaton.
Yeah. And they're like, is Ben Affleck still Batman? I'm like, well, no, not anymore. Because he was replaced by Michael Keaton, who was replaced by George Clooney.
I'm starting to think the general population are not super au fait with the concept of multiverses and different characters, different versions of characters existing in different universes.
I suspect this is one of the reasons why this movie is not doing well. Because like explaining him to, like, also I wasn't selling it, obviously.
Right.
Like I wasn't trying to, but they were just like, that sounds awful. And I'm like, yeah, well, a lot of people are saying that. Not you, Mason.
No. Wait, which movie were you talking about?
That was The Flash.
Oh, yeah. I thought it was fun.